Guys, what up?
Well, hello. Thank you all so very much for being here.
It's not.
Which way we going?
Guys, we are at Squatch Out. We're going down here to the storytelling. Watch your feet coming in. All right, watch your feet, baby.
Where do you want that?
In the sky.
Does this make me look fast?
Yes. It
Turn your head around backwards. There's a shadow on your face.
still sexy to me.
Show them the leg, Wayne. Which one y'all want?
We live, homeboy. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. My hair's all messed up. I just took my hat off. Want me to record for you, or aim it down that way? Is that what you want? Oh, you're gonna set this thing up, yeah. Well, everybody, I'm Greg Smith. Y'all seen me on Jasper's show before. Y'all seen me on his show before. My show is Backwoods Cryptids. Y'all can check that out here on YouTube as well. My little psych, I'm his psychic sometimes. Sometimes he's mine. I'm his hillbilly librarian. Oh shoot! What did I just drop? It's okay.
But she called in for COVID, so she wasn't able to make this one. We had someone else lined up. His mother got rushed to the hospital tonight, so it is what it is. So here's what we're going to do. Several of us have had personal encounters or stories that have been passed down to us that we experienced ourselves or that were just passed down to us.
That's Bigfoot.
So I'd like for each or whoever wants to come up and share some of those stories. I'm going to start it off. I'll talk about actually the only what I'm comfortable saying Bigfoot sighting that I've ever had. I talked about this a few times, but it has been a while. Mr. Jasper Walls is actually with me on this one. That's him back there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were in North Georgia.
All right, got it.
Oh, thank you.
It was Walls, myself, and an ex-member that is no longer with Mammal Research, and one of his friends. So there was four of us. We're up there, and it's cold. I mean, I think it was January when we were up there. It was 10 degrees outside, like 1 o'clock in the morning. The gentleman is no longer with us. He was an older guy, not afraid of anybody. He's got 30 years experience. He's checking his side of the camp. It's like the other side of where we were camping. He heard something. So he walked over there to check it out, and there's this downed tree. He steps on it to kind of step over. Well, when he stepped on it, something on the other end of that down tree kicked off. So it like dropped. And it scared the hell out of us. He took off running back to us, and we had been out with this guy several times. I'd never seen him afraid. He was scared. There was something out there. So we're looking around. I had my clear thermal scanning the wood line, looking, and I see this heat signature. It was an upper torso with legs. I have pictures. Anybody after this that wants to see the pictures, I'll be happy to see it.
Hopefully, guys, y'all hear that. We still hear this. I'm gonna leave it live as much as it goes.
While we're standing there looking at this thing, it's doing this. And out in front of it, there's something small scurrying around. Almost looked like rolling. We couldn't really make out what exactly it was doing. But like I said, it was 10 degrees. Before I go on any expedition, I charge all of my equipment. My FLIR had 100% when I went out there. When I had the FLIR on this thing, it didn't even have enough battery for me to video it. All I could do was take a couple of stills, and then the battery died. You've heard people talk about whether these things can drain batteries, drain power. I don't know. I don't know if the bitter cold is what did it. Some of you, maybe more technical people, can speak to that. I just don't know. I know my FLIR was fully charged when I got there, and we saw this thing. It wouldn't keep it charged. I ran to my truck, plugged it up for just a couple of minutes. I came back, it's still standing there, still swaying, like this. A couple minutes of observing it goes by, it dies again. I run back to the truck, try to plug it up, get back, and the thing's gone. I have no idea what it was. It was probably, did you say walls from me to you? Is that about how far we were?
On the tree? Yeah,
From what we were looking at.
from our camp, yeah. Yeah,
where we were standing, it is about where walls are sitting to me. That's how far away it was. Something that was putting off heat signatures was standing. Can't say it was a Bigfoot. I've been comfortable all this time saying that it was the only sighting that I've ever had, because I don't know what else it could be. There was no one else out there with us that night, or we know that for sure. That area, we've heard metallic sound. I still, to this day, don't know what that could be. If anyone does, I would love to hear it. But that's a very, very active area up there, one that we've been to several times, and it never, ever disappoints. So, is there anybody out there that would like to start off and tell us something you've encountered? I know John's got some stuff he'd like to talk about, but is there anybody else?
Up here.
Huh?
Hillbilly librarian this time.
Greg?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Oh, come on, buddy.
I'll see stuff on there. We're getting sleepy, Greg. Road up here.
What?
So we're getting sleepy. We're getting over time to hurry him up.
We all just heard Wayne talk about Pigeon Mountain out in Walker County, Georgia. That's where I've had a number of experiences up there. One time my wife and I was up there up near the area called the Blue Hole. There's a trail right next to the Blue Hole. So I decided to hike up it. She had flip-flops on, so she could not go. I get up there, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I've got some tree knobs. Big mistake, because next time I got one roaring at me, I could feel the breath coming from about where this corner of this right here is onto me. Let's say I backed out of it real quick. Problem is, by the time I got back on the truck, my wife's down there, and she's about to, I wouldn't say she's about to shut my windshield, because she had one walking between her and the water, which is about from where I'm at to where Wayne is right now. It's staring at her, and she hadn't said she found she had another one over to her right in the bushes. Then this most recent experience, I went up there in an area called Bridgestone Mine. We found a Bigfoot nest, so I thought, let's push on past it so it goes on. Again, that was my mistake. Because where it was up there got aggressive. I discharged, got 2 rounds into the air. I didn't want to hurt this thing. I was scared. And me and my cousin got the heck out of Dodge, back to my vehicle. So when Wayne said there's a lot of activities on Pigeon Mountain, he ain't kidding. Then my very first time seeing one of these things was down in Helen, Georgia. People that stay there at the stop to get the exact location, so I'm not going to. All it was by a creek in a steep mountain. I'm out there on about the second night out there. I decided to play some music. I like American music, you know, the flute and the drum. Next morning, I'm cooking breakfast for me and my wife. There's a Bigfoot up on the top of the ridge, just watching us, watching me cook. Me being me, I was just up shock. I offered to fix this plate, and that chick said no at me. That's my story. What's next? I'm calling out Jasper. Let's come up here and talk about the time you got one. That one. Hey, this is no lie. He touched Bigfoot's butt. It's good. Y'all guys doing good tonight? Oh, yeah. I know it's first night, kind of hard setting up everything. Guys, Wayne and Goofball there knows that my family story is, for my kids when they were younger, was apparently touched Bigfoot's butt. And as that has occurred, some of y'all have heard the story. You remember when Animal was, we had our show and everything, I told it on there. I told it on, I believe on your paranormal Harvey show. I've also said it on show it on mine, the Bigfoot thing, the Jasper Walls. It actually happened not far from here. Actually, it happened on the other side of the river, Mickey Jack. If you came from Chattanooga, that first exit before you hit the bridge, get off that bridge, turn left, go back from there. There was a pull-off. You go up the back road up to Bryan, Alabama. Well, there's a pull-off down in there. That's where we catfished. And so that's where we camped out because, well, it was kind of free. Mary can't park yet when we started. So that's where me and the boys always fished. That's where we always camped out. And it stayed dark. It was always dark there, quiet. Never leave here. Just like a bee station. And now because there's a road right there, it goes up to the mountain. So this night, this weekend, I got in, not this weekend, the weekend of that night. My boys were, one was 10, one was 9. And, you know, they were young. They were young enough to move around fish and everything. My youngest one, well, he's the one that stayed asleep most times. My oldest one was the one that he knows about this, but he does not claim it. He will swear up and down, no, it was deer, it was something else. He won't claim it or say it had to be something else other than any kind of animal. So this night we got there, we had a good night fishing. You know, we cooked the fish. Always just, you know, threw the bones way over in the woods so raccoons and everything stay over there. Well, this night we just seemed it was that's not like tonight. So we were in the tent, we're laying down for the night, so we get up early in the morning, fish again. We get there, get to bed. My youngest one, he's gone. He's passed out. Snoring. My oldest one's there, he lays down, goes to sleep for a little bit. I'm laying there just kind of in my thoughts, you know, kind of just sitting there trying to go to sleep. Well, I doze off for a second. For a few minutes, or I thought it was a few minutes, my oldest one wakes me up and says, Dad, I need to use the bathroom. I said, all right, son. You know, going out there, figured you could say what? You know, 1 or 2. And I was going out there, you know, find your tree, Bronco's right there. So, you know, turn the headlights on or whatever. Okay. No, Dad, I gotta do them too. I'm like, dude, we didn't even bring them. What do you want me to do? Leave your brother here and go off to somewhere because nothing's open? I don't know. So we're sitting there and we hear something slowly walking. It sounds like it's walking, so we hear a tree snap. You know, twig coming. And I'm like, okay. Well, my son hears it and he goes, Dad, what was that? Don't worry about it, probably just a deer. You know, we got fish way over there. It's probably a deer. No big deal, son, don't worry about it. Well, we hear it get closer and it gets closer, and then all of a sudden we don't hear no more footsteps. Well, you get I don't know if most of y'all encounter things where your gut feeling, your body, and everything, it's like with paranormal and ghosts, you get that hair starts standing up, and your body goes into defense mode, and you're like, okay, what is something here that I can't see and I can't touch, smell, whatever. So at that time, I'm laying there. I tell him to lay back down, which at this time he's scared to death. He lays bathroom right now. So he lays down, and I said, just lay down. I'll stay up. It's probably just a raccoon here just sniffing around. It's okay. All right, all right. So he's kind of laying down there, going to sleep. Well, I turn on my stomach, and I lay there. You know how back in the day, y'all might still do it. You can't just sleep on the floor. I sleep on the ground usually. Every once in a while, I might have an air mattress. Wayne knows this. He slept on a king size mattress and put me in the corner. So, well, actually, who else was in the same tent?
I was in that tent.
Yeah. Kevin? Yeah, we was all crammed up, and Kevin was crammed up. Wayne all nice and sweet on the bed,
He's selfish.
It was my birthday tent out.
Yeah. So I'm laying there on my stomach, and I got my arms crossed on my head, and I'm laying there. Well, then all of a sudden I feel like something just slowly come on the tent and basically set right in front of my arm. And I feel this. I feel the heaviness. I feel the weight. I'm like, okay. My son, he feels it wakes him up. He goes, Dad, what is that? I said, just be quiet. I don't know what that is. Just be quiet. Stay calm. And in my mind, I'm going, okay. I'm the dad. I'm defensive. I'm trying to be offensive, trying to figure out, okay, I got to figure out what this thing is, what's my plan, how to get these boys out of here. The Broncos over here, the road's over here, way out. I'm just, and still trying to also stay calm for them. So I tell him, just go sleep. I got this. If it wanted to hurt us, it already hurt us. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, this ain't a bear because, usually a bear is not going to just sit and you can't hear it, growling or grunting or anything. And I was like, okay, it's here. It's here. I'm pushing on this, barely touching it, and it's not moving. It's not jumping up and going off. Now I was like, okay, maybe it's a wild boar. Well, it can't be that because boars snorting around during the nighttime. They're looking for grub. It should be snorting around and making all kinds of rattles. This thing is completely quiet. It's sitting calm. I don't feel a shake. I rub the tent just a little bit, trying to figure out the curve of the hair. So it's kind of with the tent feel and everything, it feels like a muddy, almost like if a wet dog gets muddy and it gets matted a little bit. It's kind of like it's rough like that. And so I'm sitting there and I'm rubbing in. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I do not know what this is. So I tell my son, I said, bring me my knife. And I had, like back days, old days like me, I like the Rambo. I had a Rambo knife. He gives me the knife. I get up there and I start barely poking the tip. And at the end of it, this is at my arm. This thing is not moving. So I don't know about y'all, but something's poking me in the rear, I'm gonna move. And, it just don't move. So I'm like, okay, I'll try something different. So I get my hands up under kind of like pressing, I don't want to put it like this, kind of like this right here holding the butt. And I'm pushing up on wherever it is, pushing up, and it's rocking back down. It is not moving. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Well, at that time, I tell him, I said, just go to sleep. It's not going to hurt us. I don't feel like it's a threat. Go to sleep. At that time, as soon as I say that, I'm laying there and something comes over me and I'm going to pass out. Like just something that's heavy. I wake up next morning, I roll over, my youngest one's already out of the tent fishing.
So the first thought, I'm like, oh God, he's been taken. Now he's out there fishing. My young oldest one wakes up, Dad, did that thing leave? I said, yeah, I guess so, because your brother is outside. I was like, yeah, unless he's scared of him. And so we get up, we go fish for a little bit, and I come back to the tent and go around the back to see if I see what, deer print, bear, whatever. All you see is the dirt flattened, and you see a butt figure. A big rear end sitting on the tent. And never really told anybody about it until Wayne asked me, it was a big question, like, do you believe in Bigfoot? I was hesitant, told him, yeah, I do, and told him the story. And to this day, I don't know. I mean, in a way, I do think it was a Bigfoot. I think it was passing through and maybe sat down and protect us from something else. Because when we got up in this one, it's gone. But yeah, that's the time Jasper. I took Bigfoot's butt thing, so that's where it came from.
Let me ask John real quick. Is it possible? I've heard this before, but I want to know someone that can speak intelligently. If you're that scared, your adrenaline's going. Is it possible to have an adrenaline dump and fall asleep? Because that's been his thing. People question, if something's sitting on my tent with my kids in there, there's no way in hell I'm going to sleep. How do you explain it?
Well, I don't know that I can totally explain it, but the current thinking about fight flight is now being called fight flight freeze or fly. And so people, when they have a fight flight response, they can go to the point that they faint. Doesn't sound like he's fainting though, but
So you can't.
On a theoretical level, our fight, we've got an on switch and an off switch for our fight flight. And in a typical fight flight response, the on switch will trigger the body's panic and adrenaline rush and that kind of thing. And then when the threat passes, then the off switch gets thrown, and then the calming neurochemicals, the body relaxes, comes in. So on a theoretical level, he could be doing it in reverse, but I have no way to substantiate that, and I've never heard of that before either. But that would be one possible hypothesis.
Thank you, brother.
Hey Wayne,
Hey, well, come on.
there's been a lot of stories of people being put to sleep like that. There's a lot of reports where people say, I was just instantly knocked out. That's not the first I've ever heard that.
Yeah,
So I do think it's possible.
I've heard it too. I just didn't know if it was like something medically that could be causing it.
Yeah, your brain has these switches that, where it instinctively does something to protect you. So, like you talk about the freezing. When something like that happens, it's like you freeze it and you can't scream, you can't yell, you can't move. All that, and you don't think straight. Why don't we look outside and unzip it and peek out? And then later, people say, why didn't you do that? Well, dang, I just didn't even think about that. I just wanted to feel his butt, whatever, but you don't even think about it at the moment because your brain is doing all this other stuff.
He believes it was a female.
Oh, it was a female? That explains a lot.
Hey, somebody else has a spooky story. You don't have to be about
I don't know about creepy. I can tell a couple.
Well, you're welcome.
You want them?
Do it.
If I can get up there without falling down. I don't know if I can get up there.
It's all right.
Just
We got
talk from there.
insurance.
Yeah, bring them to Lake.
Why don't you just talk from there? You got a loud booming voice.
Tell them about the bipedal that took the ship information for the phone by himself.
About the what?
And Wayne's had pretty good experiences we've had our good experiences up there.
You have a flashlight. Walk up there.
Oh, flashlight?
I'm all right. I know there's guys who can pick me up if I fall down. All right. You know that, what is that commercial where they're advertising the taco sauce and they go, New York City? That's kind of like when I tell people where I had my first big city town where they go, Illinois? And not even southern Illinois, it was right in the middle of the state. I grew up on a farm, and my dad had decided to build a lake. He had had a lot of bulldozing work done, and the lake wasn't full of water yet. Matter of fact, the dam wasn't even built. But there were a lot of big piles of brush that hadn't been burnt yet. So a friend of mine and I, this is 1973, by the way. You want to go back in the time machine. And a friend of mine and I decided that we would go back there and camp out overnight. Well, so we didn't have a lot of fancy camping equipment, so we found a tarp and some rope, and we went back there and we found us some places on them where that brush was piled up to tie off and make kind of a lean-to.
What's that?
And right out at the edge of it, we built a fire, probably about the size of one of them little fires you saw that's going up there tonight. Not very big. And probably by, I don't know, 10:30 or so, we had fallen asleep. My friend that was with me was about 2 years older than me, so I thought, you know, he could do all kinds of stuff. And I woke up probably, I'm just guessing, maybe 1 o'clock. And it had started to barely drizzling rain. And something is, I could hear it walking around at the edge of the firelight. And at first I thought, you know, deer, because in Illinois, that's about all you got that's big enough, or back then it was big enough to make any kind of sound. And so I listened to it for a while and I thought, if I was a deer, it wouldn't be hanging around this long. So finally I waked my friend up. And in the meanwhile, I had built the fire up. And when I built the fire up, it was just enough that we could kind of get the outline of a very large, upright figure. And we didn't know, I didn't know what it was. So I asked my friend, what is that? He looked a while and he said, oh, he said, I've seen him before. He's an old hermit that lives back here in the woods. And he's really weird because he wears a big fur coat even in the summertime. Well, at the time I took that as the excuse. Well, this big hermit hung around the edge of our campfire until, I would guess again, I don't remember having a clock with me, but I would guess till 3:30, 4 o'clock. And it got left. And and somewhere in amongst there, my friend was like, he started to get a little scared too.
Yeah, I know my phone went down there.
And he's like, when did we gotta go to the house, which was about a half a mile. My house was about a half a mile from where we were at. And I'm like, there's no way I'm leaving here with a fire until it gets daylight. So once it got daylight, we went to the house. And no real explanation for that at the time until, you know, later on I got to thinking, you know, there's no way that that was a hermit that lived in the woods. And what I was seeing, I would guess in hindsight, although it was dark, I would put it at somewhere around 7 feet tall, so maybe it was Shaquille O'Neal's hermit. I'm not sure. But my older brother, who was actually 19 years older than me, and as far as I knew wasn't afraid of anything, had been back in the same area just, I think it was maybe a week or two later. And I wasn't home, but my mom's telling me about this later. She said, your brother came to the house, and he was white as a ghost, and he was driving like a madman. Came roaring up there in his car, and she said he come in the house, and I said, "What on earth is wrong with you?" And he said, "I'm never going to tell anybody what I just saw, because if I tell them, they're going to think I'm crazy." Well, my guess is he saw the old hermit too, only it wasn't a hermit, and it was daytime when he saw it. So that was my first encounter. That's what got me started down the Bigfoot road in 1973. Well, I shouldn't say that. It was probably a year or two later by the time I got old enough to realize that it wasn't a hermit that lived in the woods. And of course, then I'd seen the Patterson Gimlin film and Legend of Boggy Creek and all those famous scary movies. And so I had kind of decided I knew what we had seen. It's kind of funny. I think about it. I don't think I ever talked to my friend about that again. Though. I never asked him if he and I don't. I don't know. We're out of touch now. But anyway, that's my first encounter story. So unless you want more, where I got started. You want any more? Another one. Well, let me think. What's most impressive? Okay, so this one is going to be a little bit controversial. But I'm going to tell you what happened, just exactly the way it happened. And you can decide if you think I'm a liar or not. But I'm not. I was in Alaska. I've lived in Alaska for about 20 years. And I was near a community called Cordova, which is on the east side of Prince William Sound, if you want to look it up. And you all have heard of Portlock, I'm sure. That's the famous community where the Bigfoot ran all the people off and supposedly was killing them. Well, not far from Cordova, and if you look on a good map, you'll find this. About 40 miles south of Cordova is a place called Catella. And Catella had kind of the same thing happen, although it's not as famous for it. But it happened there anyway. And at the time, I did not know that. But I went hiking. I was able to back then yet. And I was walking up to a glacier. And I was going up a trail. It was a fairly well-used trail, although the day I was on it, I didn't see any other people at all. And I'm walking up the trail, and it was a pretty good uphill climb where I was at. And in my head, not in my ears, but in my head, as clear as a bell, I heard the word stop. What on earth was that? I've never experienced anything like that. So I stopped for a minute. That's what happened. Well, that had to be my imagination. So I started to walk again. I took about 3 steps and I heard again, clear as a bell, stop now. And along with that, I got a very distinct impression, although there was no words to this effect, but I got very much the impression that this time it was a warning, as in, if you don't stop, something bad's going to happen. Well, I still, at the time, Bigfoot wasn't on my mind. I hadn't heard of Bigfoot having ESP or live speak or any of that stuff at that point in time. Didn't know anything about it. But I decided that, well, maybe after that one, I was getting a little bit shaken by that. So I thought, I don't need to go to the glacier today. So I turned around and went back to my van. I was driving a van back then. And I went to town, and I actually stopped at the local sporting goods store, and I was telling some guys there about this. This was their explanation, and they could be right. I don't know. Maybe John can address this. They said, well, what it was that you didn't know it, but you smelled a bear. And because of your instinct to avoid danger when it comes to bears, your mind told you to stop. That was their explanation. But I'm not completely sure. I can't say it was Bigfoot. I can't say that it was a bear, but I know that it was very, very clearly In my mind, I heard the words as clear and as if we were speaking with each other, but it didn't go in my ears, like went in my head. And if any of you have watched I think it's the interview that Brian King Sharp did with Les Stroud. Les Stroud talked about the exact same thing happening to him. He said it wasn't in the ears, he said it was right in the middle of my head. And he said, I heard words. And he said, I can't explain it, I don't know what it was, but that's the same experience I had. So, like I said, a little controversial. Not everybody believes in that, but it's what happened to me. Maybe it's my instinct warning me against a bear. I don't know. But I spent an awful lot of time walking out in the woods in Alaska, and I had some pretty close encounters with some pretty big brown bears. And none of those other times did I ever have that experience. So, anyway, second story, short and sweet. I don't elaborate about it. So, okay, we're done. Any more?
Somebody else? Somebody
Don't be shy. We ain't gonna laugh at you. Just me.
Well, I know Lori's got a lot of really good stories.
Lori gets really mad.
Oh, okay. And I know John's got a good story. If you'll come tell it.
Hey, Bobby, Brittany, tell a story about what happened up there in the bad places you won't go back to. Y'all tell that one. What happened to me and everything, what we did that night. That'd be a good story. Tell them that. That's paranormal.
Yeah.
What?
How about you tell them that story? It's your story.
Brittany, you can do it.
What place?
John, you got anything?
Corpsewood Manor.
Never ask a professor if they have anything to say. I'm not a professor.
You want me to tell the story about the Corpsewood there, Wayne? Okay. I know how you feel about one down there about suck me in. He said, I'm ready to go to bed. I want to go to bed.
Well, I'm just the opposite. Sometimes I tell my stories and go,
Maybe next time.
you should have elaborated that one. Hey, are you folks right? Closer to your mouth. There you go. Okay. That's good. I'm John Moranchuk. This is my service dog Hoss, but it's not working right now. He's used to hearing me ramble into the screen for my podcast that I used to do. I thought I'd just start by thanking Wayne, and I think a round of applause would be put this together for us all. I also want to pay tribute to one other person in the audience, and that's Lori Wade. When I heard that we were going to do storytelling, I thought about the different stories I could tell, and 99% of the stories that I would have to offer would just come on Lori Wade's expedition. So, if you ever need I recommend her expedition.
He hires really good people to do those sounds and stuff for you.
I don't got that kind of money.
So this happened on a Lori Wade expedition that was in Tennessee. And I couldn't tell you the section of Tennessee, even if I knew it, but I don't even know where it was. But,
Was the one I was at?
huh?
Was it the one I was at?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, I thought that's where the tree got
No,
destroyed.
no. So, one of the nice things about a Lori Wade expedition is they're prepared. So, we break in from larger groups into groups of typically 4 to 6. And about 15 or 16 of us went to, I think 16 of us went to the same location. In this particular area, I get back in during the Civil War, they didn't have the draft, it was called consignment. And apparently this gentleman, to avoid consignment, went up into the Tennessee hills and built himself a cabin up there. And so our midway base camp for the group of 16 breaking into 4 groups of 4 was at this old cabin, really cool old cabin. But first to get there, we had a Ford. We would have had a Ford if had Lori's team not been on board, and she laid out some pallets so we didn't have to walk through these streams with some ropes so we could cross these streams. I think we had to go across 2 of those to get to the big been built, I think in the 1780s, 1770s. So it's an old, really cool cabin, outhouse, of course, 2 rooms, fireplace, table, and then the second room is a bunkhouse. And so this was our